Well, hi and welcome back to the Healthy Metal Hippie. Today we are here with my new friend Florence. She is from yoga retreats and more.com. And we're just really excited to have you here today, Florence, to tell us about everything that you do and why you are making such an impact for people on all of your retreats around the world.
Thanks, Ashley. I'm very happy to be here as well. And hi to all your listeners.
So, you were telling me that you originally started doing yoga and wellness retreats. And so, how did you get started in this? And I'd love to know your story.
Well, um, my story is that I started doing yoga in 1998. I was going through a very difficult patch in my marriage. Well, actually, I'm separated from my husband. I was at a very low point in my life, and I went to see my GP with what I believed were symptoms of depression. And my GP didn't give me any antidepressants or any kind of medication,
Hmm.
which is a good thing because I'm not really pro antidepressants. Instead, she told me to maybe explore doing yoga, meditation, and things like that. That was very, very unusual for a GP not to prescribe me anything. And it was love at first class. I went to yoga. There is a very nice yoga center near me in southeast London, and it was love straight away. So I started doing yoga on a regular basis. In 2000, I decided to go on a yoga retreat. I can't remember where it was, somewhere exotic, Morocco maybe, somewhere exotic. And
Oh,
after that, every year I would treat myself to a yoga retreat. That was my me time. I would meet like-minded people. I would do yoga. The food was nice. I would discover a new place, and I would come back a new person. I would always come back, with a clean slate, ready to tackle whatever life threw at me. I've been on all kind of retreats, retreats with very few people, five, six of us, or a large number of people. I think the most was 42 people. I've been on retreats where we were
oh,
pretty much left to our own device, and retreats where there were so many activities that I needed a holiday to get over the retreat when I got home. So the idea, the kind is almost like a boot camp, and you're up at 6 a.m. And anyway, and somehow I started
yeah.
thinking, "Ooh, I can do better." Very pretentiously, I started thinking, "I can do better. I can pick the best from each situation, and maybe I can do better." So the seed was planted back in 2012, but somehow I never got the time to do anything
Oh,
about it until the first lockdown in 2020, where like half the
oh,
planet, I found myself with a lot of time on my hands. I was just coming back 5 days before lockdown. I was just coming back from 2 weeks in India, a yoga retreat, of course. And and I thought, if I don't do this now, I'll never do it. So I did set up my business back in April, May 2020. I couldn't organize any
hmm,
retreats until November 21 because of the various lockdowns. But my first retreats were extremely successful. People were ready to travel again. People wanted to get some fresh air, do things. The lockdowns caused a lot of damage psychologically to a lot of people. So yeah, so I started, end of 2021, and it's been going from strength to strength ever since. And now I do 9, 10 retreats a year, mainly in Cumbria, but also,
oh, wow.
yeah, Cumbria is such a beautiful part of the UK that people want to go back to or
Mm.
want to discover. And I also take groups to India twice a year because India is a magical place that I know very well. A lot of
Mm.
people are solo travelers. They would not travel to India by themselves. So being part of a group, having the safety of a group seems to make sense. So yeah, so that's me. That's me in a
Yeah.
nutshell.
Wow. So, oh my gosh, okay, how long are your retreats to start with?
It goes
Like
from
when people go, are they
it goes from a long weekend. So that's Cumbria. Cumbria can be Friday to Monday. That's a long weekend. Or
Mhm.
I also do Monday to Friday for people who need a little bit longer, a day longer, and can afford to go away, not at the weekends. India is usually about 12 days because you wouldn't go to India for less than that. It's a
No.
long way, so
No.
you wouldn't go to India just for a week. So 12 days, 13 days seems to make sense.
Wow. That's amazing. I mean, and I mean, I would think I haven't been to India, but I would think that going there too is such a like a life-changing trip to take, and then especially adding in yoga. It sounds amazing.
It is pretty amazing, even if I say so myself. Um, India is life changing. You're right. I always tell people that it's a country and it's a people and it's a culture that touches you, that touches your soul. It touches you on a different level. It's not
Mm.
just a holiday destination. And you do not come back from
Yeah.
India the way you went there. You come back from India a different person, but in a good way. So nothing to be scared of, like in a good way.
Right.
That's how I would
Yeah.
say
No, of
it.
course. That's amazing. Excuse me. And so when you go, say, for well, I guess any of your retreats, do you supply like the space, and do you do the food, and and what do your retreats look like?
So in Cumbria, for instance, yes, everything is included. So you just turn up. You can come by train. You can drive. We encourage car sharing if we can, or people to come by train because that's the greenest option, I guess. Um, the retreats look like yoga from 8 to 9:30. Then there is breakfast. Then there is some free time, or I can take people wild dipping. There is a cold water stream nearby, and some people love cold water dipping. As you know, it's very good for you.
Hmm.
So we do that. We have
Yes.
lunch. Then we go on a nice walk, on a guided walk around Cumbria, and it's absolutely stunning. Then we get home at 5 p.m. for tea and biscuits. You will have more yoga between 6 and 7:30, and then we have dinner. After dinner, we often have talking circles, or we can have game night, or we can gather around the fire
Oh,
pit and stargaze and share. It's pretty much all about human connections. That's always my aim. So people can, I mean, all the activities are optional, but people tend to gravitate towards each other. We spend quite a lot, quite a lot of time around the table, sharing food and talking and putting the world to rights. It's important for a lot of people to be, yeah, to be sharing experiences. So we laugh, we cry,
yeah.
but yeah, it's good for you. So that's Cumbria.
Yeah,
In
absolutely.
India, there will be some culture because again, you don't want to be traveling all that way to just be in a compound and just do yoga all day. It's not that
Yeah.
kind of it's not that kind of retreat.
Yeah.
So there'll be yoga and meditation in the morning, breakfast. Then you can spend time by the swimming pool with a book, or we may go walking in the local village. Lunch in the afternoon, we can again go and visit a local temple or visit a school, bring supplies to the local school, do some shopping in a nearby town. In the evening, maybe we can go for a wildlife safari. We pile up in jeeps and we try
Oh,
and look for. They have a lot of wildlife, very interesting. It's very interesting
yeah.
environment. So there is some culture thrown in with the yoga and the meditation. Yoga and meditation is about 3 hours a day. The rest of the time, it's about doing as little as you want. So you can just be in your room or by the swimming pool with your book if you just want to be left alone and rest, or we'll take you somewhere
Mm.
so you can discover a bit of the country off the beaten track. So that's how I tailor
Yeah,
my
that's,
retreats.
and I think that's so cool because I think a lot of people are looking for a holiday like that, right? Where they can get all this wellness built into it, but also really get to know a culture and see the country, like they would on, say, another kind of tour, right?
It's a kind of it's the best of both worlds. So I've been myself as a guest on retreats where it was a lot of yoga, a lot of wellness, and you didn't really see the country you were in, and you're thinking, oh, I've just jumped on a plane 10 hours to Thailand, and I haven't really seen anything. And you come home and okay, you feel good, you've done a lot of meditation, you've cleared your head, but something is missing. Or you can go on an organized trip, a tour of somewhere, but then everything is 100 miles an hour and you just do the tourist bits.
Right.
You go from temples, from temple to temple or museum to temple, and everything is done 100 miles an hour. And
Yeah.
again, you come home and you think, whoa, that was quick. And so that's why I organize my trips this way. So it's the best of both worlds. So you will get some culture, but you're not up at 6 a.m. We don't, it's not a big group. My
Right.
groups go between 8 and 10 people, 12 people at the very most. So yeah, it's
Oh,
leisurely. It's all about you really making the most of every minute. It's all about you. It's all about the guests. It's not all about ticking off as many places as possible off a list. It's about the guests going
right.
home having had a mind-blowing experience. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's very interesting to start that up during lockdown. And, I think you're right. So when people could start to travel, everybody was very, very hungry for human connection. They were ready to get back out, maybe a little bit nervous too, but people were, they were ready because we'd all been separated for so long, unable to really connect with each other. And in a way, I think we couldn't really connect with ourselves in the same way during that time because we were almost in that fight or flight kind of mode. We were living in a state of kind of a fear through a lot of the lockdown, right? And so I mean, it's amazing timing that you had to put this together for people. What what kind of feedback have you had, I guess, that, we were talking a little bit about loneliness, and I'm sure you've seen a lot of it just organizing this.
Absolutely. I mean, back in 2020, when airports were closed, when we couldn't travel, and people, friends would tell me, "Oh, so what are you doing?" And I would say, "Well, I'm starting my business, organizing wellness and yoga retreats." I'm not gonna lie, people laughed at me, saying, "Why would you, why would you
Yeah.
spend money?" I didn't spend a lot of money, but why would you spend money?
Right.
working on a company that will, that's all about traveling when airports are closed. What are you doing? But somehow I knew I was right. I knew that we would go through lockdown and COVID because everything comes to an end eventually. So I knew there would be light at the end of the tunnel. I didn't realize, however, how desperate people would be to connect with other people. That's probably because I myself have not really suffered from loneliness in my life, which is a good thing. I'm not complaining, but I didn't quite realize that loneliness was a real issue in our society. I live in London. It's a big place,
Huge.
millions of us, and yet loneliness is a real it's a real thing. So when I organized my very first retreats, when I was finally allowed to book a house, which is a house I book in Cumbria, and advertise my retreat. Um, I was only doing groups of 6 people at the time, and it got snapped up very quickly. And when the guests did turn up, and we were all around the dining table having, our first meal, and that's when so the penny dropped. That's when I realized that I'm very fortunate, but the fact that I have a lot of friends, the fact that I don't suffer from loneliness, is quite remarkable. It's not other people's lives, and the lockdown really exacerbating the how can I say, amplified. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Sorry, the lockdown
Yeah.
really amplified
It's okay.
um, people's lack of meaningful connections. So we all have colleagues, we all have neighbors, but lockdown was very unusual for us. We'd never experienced that. And people actually
Hmm.
realize that maybe their colleagues are not their friends, they are colleagues, and the neighbors are not their friends, they're just neighbors. And
Yeah.
family can be very far away. My family is far away. I mean, I'm French, as you can hear. I'm not
Hmm.
from London. So all my family is in France. So yes, all of a
Yeah.
sudden we kind of, it did reset the clocks for a lot of us, and that's something I noticed straight away on my retreats. It was a recurring theme straight away. People saying, I don't have anybody to travel with, so here I am by myself. I you know Now I work from home. Work has changed. Now I don't go into the office anymore. I work from home, so I can spend days not seeing another human, and things like that. So yes.
And that's, I mean, it's really, really difficult because I think we're hardwired to be around other people and connect with people, and even just as partners or in small groups, but we weren't meant to be the lone wolves, right? We're meant to be together.
We're pack animals. Humans, we're meant to be part of a tribe.
Hmm.
We're tribal, as the way it's always been. So it's difficult when all of a sudden you realize that you don't have that many people around you, and everybody's busy. And COVID was particularly difficult because people were dying. I mean, in the UK, we
Hmm.
lost a lot of people. So some of your friends or some of your colleagues may have been dealing with somebody's death. So all of a sudden, they don't have time
Yeah.
for you. They don't have time for you because they've just lost a parent, or they've lost an auntie or a mother-in-law, or whomever, or they may have been going through
Yeah.
COVID themselves. So all of a sudden, you're not really number one on their list of priorities anymore. So yeah, so there will be,
Hmm.
maybe if you've got friends you can call to go and have fun. So you can call a friend and say, hey, do you want to go to the theater next week, or try this new restaurant, or go and see, I don't know, Cirque du Soleil, and they will be up for it. But
Mm.
right, at some point they were mourning someone. They were about to lose someone, that parents in hospital they couldn't visit, or they were very sick themselves, and seeing you or communicating with you was not their main priority anymore. So our world
Right.
shrunk all of a sudden.
Yeah. Yeah, it really did. And I mean, I think even now, I would expect that you still see a lot of loneliness. I think that's an epidemic in itself, right? Just loneliness.
Yes, yes, yeah, it is actually. It is even now, even though COVID is, well, feels very far away. No, that's something I welcome about between 80 and 100 people a year through my retreats, and I
Right.
still hear about it. It's coming from so many different things. We work differently. So what I've noticed, just to go back, what I've noticed that it affects all different ages. So it's not something to
Yeah.
do with people who have just retired. You can be young, you can be in your 20s
Yeah.
and feel loneliness. So it's
Yeah.
probably from teenagers to pensioners and everything in between. And it's
Yes.
male and female. It's guys and it's ladies. So it's something that I hear from. It
Hmm.
doesn't matter where people come from, a big city or somewhere more remote. I always hear the same. Work has changed. Now I work by myself. I'm on Zoom all day. Um, we move a lot as well. We're much more transient. So um, a lot of people move to different neighborhoods, and every time you move you start from scratch. You need to get to know your neighbors,
Yeah.
but then again your neighbors move as well. So when you finally you finally know your neighbors, you're finally comfortable enough to invite them for a coffee and a slice of cake, they tell you that they're changing job and they're moving up north, so they're gonna go and new people are gonna move in next
Yeah.
door. So we're moving a lot. We change jobs a lot more than we used to. So one job for life
That's true.
doesn't really exist anymore. So every time you change work, again, it's a new set of colleagues. Every time you start from scratch. So it's a lot of different things.
Um,
Um, you know, um, we spend a lot of time on social media. So that's something I hear a lot about my guests, how they are in a relationship but they're not seen anymore and they're
yeah.
not heard anymore by their partner, male or female.
Oh.
Somehow, they seem to be spending, their partner seems to be spending more time, scrolling or doom scrolling on Instagram than they do,
Yeah.
talking and sharing. Um, there is always a celebrity out there that seems more exciting or interesting than your partner. So
Right.
yeah, so that's weird. That's weird, and it's not healthy, and it's not nice. But I have guests. I have one lady in particular. I won't name her, but she comes every June to Cumbria on my retreat, and she
Oh.
actually lives with a. She has a husband, and her children live nearby. grown-up children, and she's
Mm.
got grandchildren as well. And yet she feels so lonely. It's heartbreaking, but her husband is still working. He works long hours, and then he goes playing golf at the weekend. And she's all alone all week. So, and her children,
That's hard.
it's hard. And she says, my children and my grandchildren, she says, sometimes I look after my grandchildren, they're teenagers, and
Mhm.
I offer, fun activities, but they're more interested in their screen than going out for a picnic with me or whatever. They're more interested in scrolling on Instagram and, or TikTok, and living this parallel life, with some TikTok
To
celebrity
reality.
she's never heard of.
Yes.
That's more interesting than, baking a cake or going on a picnic or whatever she has to offer them. So, the end
Yeah.
result is that she's very lonely, despite being surrounded by people.
Yes. I think that's a kind of a misconception too, where people think like, oh, but there's people all around you, but you can still be lonely even when you're in a crowd of people, whether, it's more complex than just people being around you. I think you also you need to feel heard, you need to feel seen by them, right?
Absolutely.
Otherwise you're just kind of like, a ghost in the corner.
No, absolutely, because loneliness is it's a mental it's a mental state, isn't it? It's not physical. So yes,
Yeah.
so like you say, you can be lonely in a crowd, and you can be by yourself, pottering at home, and be very content, and be very happy,
Hmm.
with your own company. That's because loneliness is a state of mind.
Yeah.
So it's very complex.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And yeah, like you say, it's knowing that you are heard and you are seen, and that's not always the case. Even if you are surrounded by people, you may somehow feel non-existent and irrelevant, and it's very
Yeah.
hurtful on a very, very deep level.
Yeah. Do you have any like kind of quick tips for people who are dealing with loneliness? Any ideas of what they can do to help push them to the other side?
So what I always tell my guests is, they need to learn to be more comfortable in their own company, because there will always be time when you will
Hmm.
be alone. I mean, physically alone, whether you live by yourself or you live with
Hmm.
housemates or have a family. You cannot possibly be surrounded by people 24/7, because that's not a healthy option in any case.
No.
So learn to appreciate your own company, learn to appreciate the peace and quiet. Um, but once that's done, once you understand that and you appreciate that, you need to be proactive, and you need to invest in meeting people. uh, you need to privilege human connections, because that's the antidote to
Hmm.
loneliness, meaningful connections. So make a list of people.
And that's the key word,
Mm,
meaningful.
Absolutely. We're not talking about Facebook friends. We're talking about meaningful connections.
Mm.
So make a list of people you like and appreciate, by category. You can do colleagues,
Hmm.
neighbors, family, acquaintances. Um, One, you will realize that you probably have more people in your life than you think you have. And also make a
Yeah.
point of reconnecting with past friends, past colleagues, long lost cousins, whatever, because there is a very strong likelihood that your friend, colleague, cousin is also thinking about you and wonders how you are doing. So maybe they also would love to reconnect with you. Somebody needs to make the first move. Why not you? So make
Yeah.
the first move. Reconnect with
Yes.
people you may have lost lately and you think about, and people you miss. There is something. great and powerful about contacting someone and saying, "Hey, how are you? I've missed you. I've missed you. We haven't spoken
Yes.
in a couple of years. What's been going on with you?" And reconnect with people. Be the one making the first move. Um, what I would say as well is become a yes person. So we always talk about the power of saying no. However, I'm more of a yes
Mm-hmm.
person. And by that, I mean say yes when you are invited to a work do or a party or a neighbor's barbecue.
Mm,
Even if you think, oh, there's going to be all the neighbors there, half of them I don't really know, I don't really like. This guy never takes his bin out on the right day. And never mind, just say yes. Just put some glad rags on, turn up, and get to know people. And before you know it, you will be invited to something else. Join groups. There must be groups in your neighborhood, even if it's litter picking. That's not very glamorous, it's not very sexy. Go, litter picking with your neighbors. It will inevitably end with a coffee
mm-hmm.
or a tea and a slice of cake and a laugh. And again, it will open doors to other invitations. Uh, be the one setting up a group.
Yeah.
If there is nothing in your neighborhood that would
Yeah.
suit you, why not be proactive and be the one setting up a group to go and, I don't know, do something nice in your neighborhood. Um, so yes, there is quite a few things people can do to combat loneliness and
Yeah.
get to know people around them, or further afield. Well, I'm going to say join a retreat. Join a retreat.
Yes, of course.
Treat yourself. You have nobody to travel with. It's not an issue anymore. Join a group of like-minded people. um, on retreats, I'm gonna say, and I'm biased, but you always make friends. Some of my most
Yeah.
precious people in my life were met on retreats. Every retreat I went to, I made at
Oh,
least one good friend. Just for a quick anecdote, I took a group of ladies to Rajasthan in February. So we went to India in February. It was ladies coming from the four corners of the UK and the States. And
yeah.
we shared so many beautiful experiences that becoming friends was inevitable. And this weekend, a few of
Oh,
them have organized a long weekend in Belfast. I can't join them.
oh,
Yes,
nice.
very nice. I can't. I've had to turn it
Oh,
down. I was invited, but I've had to turn it down because I'm actually setting off for India again in 2 weeks, so the timing was wrong. But it makes my heart sing
right.
to um, to see them, to see that some of them, the lady from the States couldn't join because it was too far away for her. But some of them,
Right.
I've hired, booked a house on Airbnb, and are going to spend a long weekend together. And it's beautiful. There were strangers beginning of February, and 2 weeks later, they were friends. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. You were telling me too that you do some digital detoxing courses or
Yes.
tell us about the digital detox. First, I mean, what do you do when it comes to a digital detox?
So it's all about leaving your screens behind for 2 or 3 days. So that's a weekend. That's a weekend retreat. It's from Friday to Monday, and I don't take people's phones away because the guests are adults and responsible for themselves. But they usually send a quick WhatsApp message or text to their families to say, I've arrived safely. They have an emergency number to give to their family, and then they switch off their phones, they
Yeah.
put their phones away. They have a traditional alarm clock in the morning to wake up so they don't have to have their phone on their
Oh,
bedside table. And we have so many
yeah.
activities, so many talking circles. We go walking, we go swimming. We do so many things that we forget about our phones. It becomes all about living in the here and now. It becomes all about appreciating every minute of every day, um, and not scrolling about somebody else's life. For 3 days, we just care about ourselves. We don't care about, what, I don't know, some celebrity is up to and who's cheating on whom. And we don't care.
Yeah.
We don't care. It's all about us for 3 days and sharing in real life with other people, sharing experiences, sharing the past, asking for advice, so that's what it's all about. Yeah, it's all about leaving the phones, the iPads, other tablets are available, tablets, screen, any form of screen. We don't even switch on the TV. There is no movie night. We do game nights. Yeah,
Right.
that's what it's all about. And the feed,
That's
oh,
really nice.
the feedback is amazing. People saying, I didn't know I could live 3 days without my phone. This is how sad the situation has become.
Yeah.
People think,
It's
yeah,
true.
people thinking, what am I going to do without my phone for 3 days? And very quickly, because they are intellectually stimulated and emotionally stimulated, very quickly they realize they don't actually need their phone all that much. They tell me, oh, I've given your number to my husband, I've given your number to my children. If anything happens, they will call me,
Hmm.
but no news is good news. Hopefully
Yeah.
nobody's gonna bother me during the weekend. And they feel good. By Monday morning, they feel good. I've had people tell me, oh, I'm going to dust off my alarm clock because I always sleep with my phone on my bedside table, using my phone as an
Hmm.
alarm in the morning. And of course, first thing I do in the morning is start, going on social media. But from now on, I'm going to leave my
Yeah.
phone in the kitchen on charge, and I'm going to dust off and get some new batteries for my old fashioned alarm clock. So I'm going to
Oh,
start taking a distance from my phone. So that's amazing. That's an amazing result. People deciding to do
yes.
things differently.
So, who do you suggest does a digital detox?
Well, again, my guests are from, I think the youngest I've had on the digital detox weekend was 24 years old, and the oldest guy was 79 or 75. Again,
Oh,
it
wow.
affects all of us. Anybody with a smartphone, and that's 95% of the population. Yeah. Anybody with a smartphone
Hmm. Yeah.
will say, um, I don't dare switch off notifications from work. So even at the weekend, I'm on my phone because I can hear, notifications from work. And I'm thinking, if I don't reply, what is my boss going to think about me? Um, Technically, if you're not paid
Yeah.
to work at the weekend, you shouldn't. So,
Yeah. It's true. I mean, yeah. Because it's just having a smartphone. It's easier to blur those lines of when do we work versus when don't we work.
absolutely. Where does it stop? All this technology
Yeah.
was created to make things easier for us. Um,
Yeah.
we were meant to be working less because we would be working smarter. But actually, well, as you
And
know,
now we work smarter and harder.
actually, yeah, absolutely, it's kind of it's opened the floodgates to now be available 24/7. Where do you stop? So so we talk again with the guest. I talk about things they can implement at home, to be less
Yeah.
to spend less time on their screen. So as previously mentioned, maybe
S-
get back to an ordinary alarm clock. It can be a very fancy one, but not your phone.
mhm.
Basically, not your phone. Have your phone on charge in the kitchen or in another room. Don't bring your phone into your bedroom. The bedroom should be a tech-free zone.
Right.
No tablet and
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
phone. Have an afternoon of maybe social media free time, or turn off notifications from your social media, rather than
Right.
being made aware that somebody liked your post, or on Facebook or Instagram, or um, maybe catch up with it at some point during the day, but you don't have to be notified all the time. You should regain control. So you should be the one deciding when you will consult social media, rather than being informed all the time of something happening. Because instinctively we jump on the phone
Right.
when the phone, kind of,
Go,
yeah,
ooh,
yeah.
ooh.
When the phone clicks about anything, even if it's completely irrelevant to our lives, we can't help it. We pick up
Yeah.
the phone and check it. We can't help it. So just mute
Yeah.
notifications, and whenever you're ready, you check the latest notifications. You regain control. That would be my advice. Regain control
Right.
over social media.
Yeah, and I mean, that's really good advice. I think no matter what our age, we should be taking that advice.
Absolutely, it's ageless, isn't it? Um, I mean, it's worrying to see teenagers spend so much time on their screen. Um, yeah, it's
Yeah.
yeah, it's worrying. However, well, social media is meant to be addictive. It's tailored to be
Yes,
addictive.
it is.
That's how they make money. You
Yeah.
know, Mark Zuckerberg is
Yeah,
not
exactly. Because they're always on it.
is not a billionaire because just it's not a miracle. Um, when they realized how addictive it could be, they want it. They want you to spend time on social media,
Yeah.
because that's a huge source of
Yeah.
revenue. And yeah, absolutely.
It really is. Oh, yeah. I don't know. I think now listening to you speak, I know I'm going to have to limit my screen time too. Sometimes I know I'm on a little bit too much, but then also I'm like, I think in some ways I'm on it less now. And so I I should really I should put more boundaries around it for myself
Mm.
though.
We should, all of us, me included, all of us. Yeah, yeah. It's easy
Yeah.
to fall into that trap, isn't it? Where you just go, on Instagram, or wherever it is, where TikTok, whatever. You go to just check one thing, and
Mm.
half an hour later, you're still there scrolling. It's so
You're
clever. I mean,
yes. It's so
I
true.
need to give credit where credit's due. These guys are so smart and so informed about human psychology. So it's for us to fight back and regain control. That's our
Yeah.
responsibility.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I guess if people do want a little bit more screen time, where is the best place for people to come connect with you, Florence?
Yes. So Contradicting myself. I mean,
Quick, come online and find me.
I have quite a few retreats already advertised for next year. I'm taking another lovely group to India at the end of January. We're going to Kerala. So they can check out my website,
Oh,
yogaretreatsandmore.com.
and
And I'm also on Facebook,
right.
again, Facebook/ yoga retreats and more. So yes, that's probably the best places to connect with me. You can subscribe to my newsletter. I only send a couple of newsletters a month. I don't fill up your inbox.
Okay.
And yeah, I don't like that, so I don't do it to other people either. And
Yeah.
I love WhatsApp. I love communicating on WhatsApp. Again, my WhatsApp number is on my website. People can get in touch if they have any questions. And I'm all about human
Super.
connections. So, I love communicating with people. And yeah.
Yeah, and I think you're helping people communicate with each other and with themselves more every day with all of the work that you're putting into the
Oh,
world. And
thank
it's
you.
absolutely, it's a beautiful
Thank
thing.
you. Thank you so
Oh.
much. I appreciate that.
Well, Florence, I've loved having you as a guest today, and I am definitely going to have to hop on and check out your retreats, and maybe I'll have to come up for one weekend.
I do day events in London as well. So not everyone can afford or wants to go
Oh.
away for a few days. So once in a while,
Mm.
I don't have anything on the website right now, but once in a while, I will do a half day retreat in London, and I'm exploring around Manchester and Leeds for next year. So that's
Oh.
yoga, meditation, nice lunch, sound bath. It's all about wellness, but like condensed in 4 or 5 hours. Just a mini retreat, I would call
Oh,
that. So
incredible.
yes,
Yeah, that sounds really nice. Well, thank you again for being here today, and I am so excited to come check something out sometime soon.
thanks for having me. It was absolutely lovely talking to you, Ashley, and maybe we'll get to do that again one no one day.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful rest of the day.